Just a disclaimer before this video starts, a little post note will say, I was threatened by certain people, individuals that I cannot name or else I will get in legal trouble to not release this episode. However, after speaking with my lawyers, I've decided to release this episode. Here is my interview with KAJ. Welcome, my friends, to a very special interview. Here's my client. He is Captain America, he calls himself. He is the biggest star in the GGBL. It is KAJ. KAJ, how you doing, buddy? Very good. Excited to get stuff off my chest because I think the truth has finally need to come out. Obviously, another GGBL Gold Series loss, but we're not here for this. You set this up for me. Why did you set this interview up, and what do you want to achieve out of it? Well, Stevie, what I want to achieve out of this interview is pretty simple. It's to display my grievances with certain people that certain kids look up to, and I've had enough of being quiet. It's not my style, and I think it's time to tell the truth to the world. Well, I've really got no questions. I guess you can go, KJ. The last 2 years of Richmond have been the worst experiences of my life. The best for me personally, but within a team, it has been the worst I've ever experienced as a person. It's hard to explain, but to go back to, if we want to go back to the very start, I guess we can. You're right with me rambling on, Stevie. Go on, I'll give you questions when needed. Just yap a bit. Thanks, Stevie. It all started, I think, with that first press conference with Ricky. Me and Ricky were really close, as he was really the closest friend I had in this business, in terms of in baseball. But that first interview, I wanted to establish a culture change because of what had happened the last 3 years. I knew what happened the last 3 years, and I knew the reputation I was building in terms of what I was. So I wanted to create myself a new reputation. I wanted to give a new attitude to myself, but more importantly to Richmond. And the first thing after that interview, after just some lighthearted jokes, Ricky came up to me and was not, pleased, let's say. It wasn't, I don't want to say it was heated, but I could tell by by that conversation at the end of it, I could tell that things could go wrong. And I think, people ask me, why do you perform in the Gold Series and Ricky doesn't? I think it's pretty obvious. It's about attitude. I think if you look at the earlier Ricky Holberman that we all love, he did a lot better in the Gold Series and in the playoffs. But, now he's just a regular season, guy. And that's nothing to be, it's nothing to be, ashamed of. But I think from what he was a really great player in terms of just those performances, and then his attitude changed, and I kind of saw that, but I didn't want to question it, But if we go forward, when Ricky won the MVP, the team control, the team dynamic by this point, Stevie, was more me, Monroe, and Ricky. But after he won MVP, after that first season had concluded, regular season, it was all about Ricky and Ryan Berner, who I'll get into later. The dynamic, and I guess James as well, but the dynamic changed completely. The section of the locker room, we were pretty united, but by the end of my time, by the end of that year, and then especially at the end of my time, we were definitely the minority of people. We weren't really happy with Ricky. Ricky would lay out strict rules. He just made baseball not fun. Again, I don't like saying this about him, but he was a dickhead, straight up, We wanted to bring an attitude, a culture, and I said that in my first meeting, but we couldn't bring an attitude and culture, and that's why we didn't win the last 2 Gold Series, because Ricky Holberman was a self-proclaimed egotistical fuck, and he didn't care about the team. He just cared about himself, and he cared about his status, and it's unfortunate that he cared so much about that. I think the major problem was the coaching staff, in both years. And Ricky had a big deal in that. I didn't really have a big deal in terms of coaching hires, but Ricky was relied upon by the front office, I think wrongly, and he, I think, gave us a coaching staff that was under his thumb. So if you wanted to tell me, who managed the team, it was Ricky Holberman, and that's the unfortunate thing. For Ryan Berner, he was a complete arsehole. I don't want to get into more vulgar language, but he was just an asshole. He never respected me. He never ever respected me. I respected him at first, but when he showed no respect, why would I show respect back? Simple as that. No reason to respect him. He would divide the locker room between me and a couple of guys that I was friendly at first, but by the end of it, they were all Ryan's guy. And I did nothing wrong except, again, just be myself and be the player, which was what I was told to do when I was traded to Richmond. So, Ryan's a major factor in why we didn't win this, I'd say, this last year in terms of how it felt. And he goes away and runs away to, Orlando, and he calls it, the truth will come out. He completely ruined the team. He ran away from the team before and didn't take any responsibility for the first 2 Gold Series. I'll take responsibility as someone that I should have done more. I should have seen what these rats were doing and taken control more of the team. And I've had that situation in my career before, as you know. But it's just incredible that this guy thinks he's the moral good of all the world, and he does absolutely nothing except run away and doesn't face up to the fans. I could face up to the fans to them, even if I was to leave tomorrow, which, is a possibility, and I would say sorry for my time here. I wouldn't take any good things from my time here. Of course, you could say, well, you made your first Gold Series in how many years, but I don't take solace in that. I wanted to win. And I think we failed the fans, but he won't say they failed. He just did his job, apparently. Oh, it was my fault. It was my and some other guys' fault that we, screwed up. And, to tell me all I needed to know is that James, and he won't he won't talk about it. He's a quiet guy in terms of doesn't talk to the media. He dealt with a big injury this past year, and Ricky and Ryan were very unsupportive of him, very critiquing him, and not only physically was he a bit hurt, I believe, he was also mentally in his worst shape of his career, and these guys, this locker room didn't back him up, and instead threw him to the wolves. Didn't do anything in press conferences or anything to help him. And that just killed his confidence, during the regular season. I don't think we found the best version of James. So, to me, to summarize, is that I've never felt so betrayed by Ricky. I've never felt so betrayed. I think it was earlier this year. I kind of knew it. It was after the first defeat. It was earlier this year. I think Ricky was having a pretty good season at that point, and me and Ryan had a disagreement. Ricky came in and heated argument with me, slammed doors, yelling, cussing, not professional in a ball club like this, in Richmond, and it just was unbelievable what I witnessed. And yeah, apparently you can't be yourself. You just have to be a robot. And if you're not, you get cussed out and kicked out of the team. And if you're not kicked out of the team, they'll just leave the team to die. So I think, for that, we're seeing this fall of Richmond. I'm the last guy to really, I would say, commit my future. And I have ideas of where I want to be, but I haven't committed my future straight away. Whereas you see these other guys, they just commit their future and leave. It's unbelievable. And I think it shows you what a person and a player I am. Well, hey Jay, that's a lot of things you just said. There's not really any more. There's questions, of course, but what was in that heated argument with Ricky Holbman? Yeah, it was just disagreements on how we played, disagreements on my attitude, my personal life, which didn't need to be brought up. Yeah, I just think this team was just a shit show, to be honest. And I think there were some guys that really wanted to help it, really wanted to save it. But, now we're in this situation where, guess what? Ryan's gone. Ricky, I can tell you first, because I've heard from his fucking agent, sorry for the language, but he's gone. He's not coming back to Richmond. So then it comes up to me and James in deciding what to do. And honestly, what, we didn't want this. We didn't want to break up Richmond. We didn't want to destroy this team because we have so much love for this team. But when bad actors infiltrate the sport and, Stevie, I had questions of you, questions of you doing what you did back in the day in 2012 and getting fired. But I think it was justified now. I think the true colours of Ricky Holberman and Ryan Berner, and I could name more. I can name a lot more. Chris was not really a help. He was more on Ricky's side than anything. Kingston, no. Cavado wasn't a help. Just the guys you would think that weren't going to help, We did have most of the pitching staff was actually with us. Piazza was fine with us, but the team has now just fallen. The general manager, I think, unfortunately, I know him. Unfortunately, I think he just let this situation brew too long, and I think instead of getting a return for Ricky or even Ryan, and diffusing it and letting me run the team in terms of that, he trusted in Ricky, and Ricky paid him back with 4 straight Gold Series losses, or 4 straight, I'm pretty sure. But he's a big reason why Richmond doesn't have a title. He's a big reason why I don't have a title. And he sure damn is the reason why he doesn't have a title. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate at the end of the day. It's really unfortunate what happened. I'm not happy. Not happy about it. And I will say this for the upcoming GGC, the Golden Gold Classic. If we're on the same team, Ricky and Ryan, and I'm going to guess especially Ricky, because Ryan doesn't have the talent, let's be honest. Just know the first thing that I do to you is probably punch you, because it just pisses me off that I'm in this situation where I got to decide my future again because it's of this guy who doesn't know anything about life at all except baseball. He's a loser. Well, I think we're going to cut this short, KAJ, but thank you very much for this dropping, mind-blowing info. Thank you very much. Folks at home, that is the most explosive interview I've ever had with a GGBL player, maybe even all of sports. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do we think? Is KAJ innocent, which I think he very much is, and is Ricky and Ryan Berner the real bad guys and the reason why Richmond has fallen?